Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah,
it's so good to see you.
Oh, man.
I'm so happy to see all your faces. Everybody's here. It's exciting.
God, you were a goddamn mess the last time I saw you, buddy. You were just you were puffy faced but mostly you actually didn't look that bad. You mostly, which I'm just not used to. Not that I've never seen you like that, but like you're not usually that sort of, I don't know, self-conscious. Is that the right word? Yeah, self-conscious. Like about the way you look. I feel like for the most part,
you looked exactly the same, except your lighting was worse.
Yeah, your lighting was worse, and also you were just rubbing your eyes a lot.
Maybe you were a little tired, like a morning tired, but that's,
a little puffy.
Your face was the same face.
I do have the same face. Yes. Yeah. Week to week doesn't change that much. Year to year, sometimes it changes.
Oh yeah.
Year to year.
Year to year, it changes for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I was. Yeah. I don't know. I was I was just off a jet. Remember, I was complaining about that, and I was just feeling a little off, I think. But we all have our bad days, and I appreciated all the support, and I've been getting a lot of support from people. About
what people? What do you mean? Like people have been coming on and telling you?
Hey, Robbie,
building you up.
Don't worry about it.
It was an interesting response that I saw on social media, just about people. I don't know. I think that they were saying it was okay. It was okay to have a down day.
Hey man, it's okay. I get tired too sometimes. You get tired. I get tired, man. You guys get tired ever?
All I ever am is tired.
If I had some nose clams at the time, if I had just one bag of nose clams.
Nose clams.
And do you? Okay, so now we're talking about The Gang Gets Whacked Part 2, and I was watching it last night with my beloved spouse. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to throw this out there in terms of staying current. Caitlyn broke her foot.
Okay, so
I texted her because I saw her Instagram thing. And I was like, "Did you break your foot?" And she said the doctor said it wasn't officially a break. It might have been a sprain, but it feels like it's broken. She said.
Well, she's walking around in a boot, and
good ass.
We counted. This is the sixth ssixth that she's broken since.
How'd she do it this time? Together. Did she put her shoe on, or did she?
Yeah.
God, she breaks easily, but she never gets sick. It's such a weird thing, right?
It is crazy. She has not.
Brittle as all hell.
She has not gotten sick in years. I haven't seen her have a cold for years.
I think I would still take getting sick over breaking that many bones.
Oh yeah,
right. Like if someone said, "Hey, you could never get sick for years and years, like not a head cold, nothing." But you're going to break a bone like every 6 months. I'd be like, nah, I'll take the cold. I think.
Agreed. I mean, what kind of sick are we talking about? If we're talking about a cold, sure.
What kind of sick? Yeah, sure. Yeah. You're going to get lupus every month. I mean,
no, right. She's broken her foot and she's hobbling around like a jerk, but she's a trooper and she'll get through it like she's gotten through the last 20 bones that she's broken.
No, were you there when she broke it?
No.
To hear the screams?
No. I just I just saw her walking out to the backyard, and she was limping, and I just shook my head as she approached, and I said, "You broke your foot, didn't you?" And she said, "Yes." I just knew the look. I knew the look, and I have a whole section of a closet that we have in the house called the Caitlyn section, and it has boots, full boots. Those like leg cast boots, a cane, and 2 sets of crutches, and we just keep them. We just keep them. We just keep them around because we might need them again. And in fact,
why don't you just set up? I feel like you have enough room in your house to just set aside a whole room that's just for triage. You know what I mean? Like just an emergency room.
Get your own little ER.
Yeah, your own little ER. You have like a guy that's on call, and when he shows up, he's got his little doctor bag, but you've already got it all set up for her, you've got an X-ray machine in there, you've got, whatever equipment that he would need, so she doesn't have to, hobble to the...
Invest in some sort of bubble boy suit, you know what I mean? Just some sort of like bubble wrap kind of thing.
Yeah.
You could bubble wrap Caitlyn every single morning before she leaves the house.
Yeah.
Really keep her safe. You promised, I'm sure when you got married, you probably promised to keep her safe and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I think it makes
I play
sense.
with cars sometimes. I'm like, why are cars not like just giant round rubber balls? You know, like why didn't we do that? So like it's like, fuck, sorry, I ran into you. Good thing we just bounced off each other. You know,
The way your brain works is amazing, dude.
I want to see that. I want to
feel
see
like,
that.
Come on, we
What
can
are
put a man
what are
on the
the
moon. We
physics of
can't
that?
make a car a big round safe rubber ball. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like you're sitting in the middle of the ball, and the ball rotates around you, but it's clear, so you can see out. You know, you can see 360 degrees. I think it's a great idea.
And
I mean,
what
you got wheels, you got an axle, but you
powers
got
the
a
ball.
What powers
Yeah.
the ball? No, you have an engine, you have all that stuff, but there's so much rubber, safe, foamy, soft rubber around everything that, you know, if when you slam into someone, it's just a nice, good bounce, you know?
Yeah, you bounce around.
But wouldn't that bounce you
bumper
with such
cars.
force that it would break your neck?
No, because it's just rubber on rubber. It's a good sort of, you know, you have a seatbelt and you have an airbag, but you don't have all those hard angles and metal and glass everywhere. I don't know what the windshield is, but like
You probably have a you know something that you wrap
Some
around your
sort
neck
of-
so that your neck can't really, you know what I mean? So when you do bounce around, you're just like bouncing around like this.
yeah, just keep everybody safe.
But if it was
Look
rubber
cool,
hitting
though.
rubber, you're on the 405 and you smash into somebody, you're it's gonna shoot you to Pacoima.
Yes,
I mean, you're gonna be airborne.
That's
you're
fine.
gonna be
I'll
out
just
in
I'll
outer
hit a
space.
bunch of other rubber things along the way, and everyone will be fine.
That's right.
It'll just
And
be
then
an
you
earth full of those like rubber bouncing balls that you had as
Yeah,
a
you
kid.
take like
Super
two
balls.
lacrosse balls or whatever, I don't know, some kind of like, you know, massage ball, and you shoot it at full speed at one another. The balls are gonna be fine. Yeah, they're gonna shoot everywhere, but the balls will be fine, and stuff inside the balls will be fine.
You end up in Pacoima, so be it. You know what I mean? You're like,
So
well,
you're in
this is the
Pacoima.
first time I've ever been in Pacoima. Let me grab a bite to eat, and then I'll just bounce right back to
I'd rather be in
the hell I was
Pacoima
supposed to
than
be going.
Caitlin's triage room.
The gang gets whacked.
Is funny.
It's wild. It's so funny. It's so cartoony, but it's very funny. And
pretty
do you remember
cartoony.
the thing that popped out to me the most was? Do you remember why we made it so that nobody is snorting the cocaine? Everybody is rubbing it on their gums.
No.
No, is that a standards and practice thing?
That was a standards and practices thing.
Oh my
They told us
Was
that
it?
we could not actually see somebody snorting a line of cocaine in the episode, which is odd.
On
because
FX. On FX.
On FX.
Sure.
TV
Yeah.
has changed, man. TV has changed.
Yeah. So
I-
we pivoted to the gums, which is so much funnier anyway.
Yeah, every time they give us something like that, I feel like whatever we come up with is 10 times funnier than what we originally intended anyway.
Yeah, because then they don't have the intent of getting high, and it sort of starts happening accidentally, which is a funnier sort of engine for story than just like they want to get high.
People online were interested in knowing, do you guys remember what that was that you were eating, Charlie? The cocaine? Was it powdered sugar?
I think it was
or
like flour. I think it was like probably just mounds of flour.
Ew,
gluten.
really?
Gluten. Ugh.
So many gluten.
A lot of gluten.
That's probably
so many
worse for you than
glutens.
cocaine is. I mean, the carbs alone.
Probably not. Probably not.
We
Definitely.
shot a lot of the episode in Philadelphia. In fact, in
Yeah.
Kensington, we shot a lot of the episode in Kensington. And Caitlyn remembers it being one of the hottest days she's ever felt on the planet Earth.
Oh, I remember it being really hot. Cricket thinking those trash cans are kettle
Oh.
drums is like one of my favorite things
so great.
of the whole season.
In that scene, you guys are walking up to Cricket, and she said she's wearing a pair of jeans. She said they had to cut the jeans off of her. They couldn't pull them off of her. They cut
Because
them.
the sweat combined with the tightness
Yes.
of the jeans. And
Yeah.
they couldn't get them off.
Yes. Yeah. She couldn't get them off, and they were like pulling them and pulling them and pulling them. Finally, wardrobe just came in and cut them off. Like it was triage. Like maybe she had broken something. I don't know.
Do you think they had those kind of those like scissors where the one that touches your skin is like, you know, like nice and what's the word?
I do think
you know?
I do think the wardrobe department has those
Yeah.
in case
Yeah.
they need to cut a performer's clothes off of them because they have sealed them with sweat. I'm a big fan of the ass play conversation with Danny when he's getting out of his chalice. Like, I never ordered any ass play.
That's
and the woman sitting at the counter is amazing.
the thing that jumps out at me most in watching this episode is how all of us are doing gymnastics, like trying to be just really, because we're actors and we're trying to be funny in each scene, and we're just doing anything and everything we can to milk every single moment, and we're working so hard, and it works and it's funny, but it took a lot of effort. And Danny just walks onto the screen and is so casual, and he doesn't look like he's doing anything because he barely is, and he is so fucking funny. He's just taken us all to school. He's so funny.
He's pretty amazing. I mean, the ass play conversation, and then the scene where we're playing, was it Two of Hearts?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
While playing stripping.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah.
hearts. Susie Q.
It's pretty great.
And the when he shows Dennis the ad, the bodywork by Dennis.
Bodywork by
ad.
Dennis.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
he
that was
goes,
based on real.
You
Those
can
were
have
real
rules.
ads.
It says no rules.
It says right here, no rules.
It says no rules. Now, wasn't that photo just a still shot from you taking your shirt off for Margaret McPoyle in the hostage episode? Like, we basically just
screen grabbed it.
So did we create that in the editing room, or do we have that on set, or someone just like made it?
No,
No,
we
that
had
was-
that.
that
We
was
had that
set.
in the paper. Yeah.
It was in the
Yeah,
paper.
right?
That was the prop. The prop. They took
Yeah.
a picture from me being all sweaty and shirtless, and just put it.
This is how old this television show is. That was based on real ads that we would see in newspapers, weekly newspapers, or even the LA Times, where you'd get to the classified section, and then there would be a whole area that would say massage and
Body work.
Body work, really. So if you specialized in body work, you could call Ramon, you could call Jimmy, you could call Carla. You could call Tatiana, and they'll show up and they'll work your body. No problem.
Christ, if you call, like, who's showing up if you call one of those numbers? Somebody scary, and then somebody
really scary comes in first and introduces you to the person.
Yeah.
that
Somebody
you'll be
really
working
scary
with.
shows up and says,
You'll be working with Tatiana, but I need to have a little conversation with you first.
Yeah. No, she's going to work your body. She's going to work your body. Don't worry about that. But body work will be done. But a different kind of body work is going to occur if we're not satisfied financially.
If I'm not satisfied financially, yeah.
You're
Then we're
going to
gonna
be
work your body.
satisfied.
We're going to work
and
your body.
I'm going to be
in a totally
satisfied.
different way.
you don't
The
want
only-
me to work your body, bud. Let's put it that way.
You'll be satisfied and I'll be satisfied. There's only one person that won't be satisfied in this equation, and that's Tatiana.
That's Tatiana, but we're not. Let's not concern ourselves with that.
Let's not concern
If you were
ourselves with
concerned about
right
that,
now.
you never would have made that phone call to begin with.
Yeah. We're both a part of the same hypocrisy, sir. Now, get in the room.
Getting all philosophical. Shit. Don't give me that look, sir. You're just as much part of this as I am.
That is kind of what's happening in the episode where we got you said Frank gets all pissed off because we got Dennis thinking for himself again. After all the work he's put in.
Yeah. Well, that was part of the fun of creating that episode, was like sort of accelerating the process of grooming, and getting someone to completely submit to your will by just totally manipulating them. What?
I like that you made no effort to not burp directly into the microphone. No effort. Just a quick second of just maybe just looking away and then coming back. No effort.
What, I got to put on
Howard Stern
airs?
of
I
you.
got to put on airs for you guys?
I gotta put on airs just because we're talking on the internet.
Just because millions of people are going to watch this, I got to put on airs?
I
What
love
else?
the addition of the line. So you say no ass play on this one, and he says, "No, you don't have to do anything with the ass." Well, the last one it got weird, and he says, "Don't worry about it." And you said, "Well, we might have to go to the hospital or the doctor's
Doctor,
appointment
right?
just to be safe." What does that mean? I mean, what's the implication? I don't know, but
There could
it
still
made
be
me laugh.
something in there, or something might have torn.
Sure,
Yeah.
but just to be safe,
Or there's
just to
some
be safe,
itching,
we'll
and
set
we
up
should
that.
get it looked at.
And then instantly, you know exactly what's going to happen in the next scene when he says he's laying there reading the magazine and
I never
says-
ordered any ass play.
He'll do anything with the
Ass
ass.
play. Just the term ass play is really fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah, and
That's
just to
what
What's
show
she
how far.
doing? What's she doing
Just to
down
ch-
there? What kind of play is it?
Well, she's having a look around, exploring a little bit. Is my guess. You know what I mean? I don't know if she's pleasuring herself or me, but either way, it's pleasurable for her.
But you're the one doing the work. You're doing the body work. It's body work by Dennis. So
yeah, but he's also providing a body. That's
to do
part
it.
of the work. That's part of
I'm
the work.
providing a body to work with. I'm doing body
Providing
work.
Yeah. I'll do some body work, but I'll provide a body for you to work.
and play. But that's the fun of it. Is that you're
really
both working. You're both working and playing at the same time.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that this is supposed to be fun. You know?
Honestly, ass play is better than ass work.
The ass work seems like there's some more heavy lifting involved. A little play
Ass work
seems light.
Heavy lifting.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. You don't want it to be work. You want it to be play.
Yeah, you want it to be play. Yeah, ass work sounds like someone's going to get some
Serious.
pleasure out of it for sure. But yeah, you're going to be burning a lot more calories.
I have
Yeah,
a fond
yeah.
memory of my grandmother coming to set, because she lived in Philly, and we were shooting the scene where we find Cricket on the street and he's homeless, and she found it very amusing that he was playing a priest, and but also just being like, so he's we're on cocaine, Grandma, and like just trying to like explain it.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there with the earphones, like listening to the scene, and just
But she enjoyed it?
yeah. And then 2 seasons later, we put her in an episode as one of the Red Hat ladies. She's sitting with me playing the piano. And then she passed away shortly after that. I mean, she was like 96 or something, but she would continue to get checks for the performance because it would air, and like little $5 residual checks. And I remember my aunt being like, "Can you cancel these because it's like a pain for us to like." It's like we can't process it, and there's a whole thing. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, just a stack of checks that only amount to about like $98 total.
Yeah, if you're lucky. Yeah.
Right.
We've talked about the stack of checks, right? We've talked about Charlie's stack
My
of checks
stack
on the
of checks?
podcast.
Not on the podcast.
okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into that. Just because you brought up a stack of checks, and it's it's
I had the
just
same thought.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I don't know. I hear the word stack of checks, and then I hear that it's like a pain in the ass. And I remember Charlie lived in this real shithole apartment that we shot the original Sunny in, but we loved it. We would spend a lot of time over there. And
I was so psyched on that apartment coming from New York City. I was like, we have a little balcony that we can smoke on, and like, yeah.
So I was so broke, and Glenn was not. He was never broke. He was always working. But
Yeah, I was always successful. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, you've been successful from the day you graduated from the Juilliard School.
Glenn and
in Upper West Side
I
of Manhattan.
started working and getting paid
Almost
to work
immediately.
the second we tried to be an actor. But go ahead.
You were saying.
It's all true.
But you were struggling, which makes sense.
Oh God, yes. struggling in so many ways, and emotionally as well. When I would walk into your apartment and I would see this, I saw a stack
Yeah.
of checks, and I'm not exaggerating, Glenn. Like this thing,
I remember.
Right? In
Yeah,
envelopes.
I just for some reason I remember them always like in my memory they were sitting on top of his keyboard.
They were on
Always.
top of my keyboard.
Always on the
That's-
keyboard.
That's
He had
where I
this
kept
big,
them. You
giant
walk in the
Casio
door.
keyboard.
I had a
Yeah.
keyboard and a bed, and that was probably about it.
That was it.
And a pile of checks.
And then-
And,
pile of
and,
checks.
and
Yeah.
empty Yoo-hoo containers everywhere because
Well, that
that's
was all
all
Jimmy.
that,
That's
all
all
Jimmy
Jimmy
Simpson.
Simpson's
Yeah, he would
wreckage.
just drink Yoo-hoo all day and eat macaroni and cheese and smoke cigarettes. I mean, that's the best part
the
of
man
being
liked
in
the
your
streets.
early 20s. So I look at this stack of checks
Yeah.
and I'm like, can I look at this? And you're like, yeah, sure. And I'm looking at them, and they're these
For like
payments.
hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Like
No,
I mean,
no.
not that much, but like,
yet.
but even
But
even
maybe
hundreds
I had
of
like
dollars.
4 or 5 grand sitting around right there.
Yes, it would be like a check for $300, a check for $600, a check for 50 cents, a check for 75 cents, a check for $2,000. And I'm looking at them and I ask him, have you cashed these? And he says, no, that's why they're just sitting there. How long have you had them? I don't know. They just keep coming, and it's such a pain in the ass. And I say,
it's such
it's a pain in the ass to do what?
Well,
You
you
got
don't
to turn
wanna-
them over. You have to sign them. That was what you had to do. You had to sign it, and then you had to walk it to the bank. And then in exchange for that, For all that work, the bank would give you money. It would give you cash for the checks.
Well, that's not what it was. Was that I didn't want to walk down to Wells Fargo every time I got a $7 check. I waited for like a month and I collected all the checks from the month and I brought them all down and I put them all. I didn't cash them. I didn't walk around with a briefcase full of money. I had what they call a bank account. And I put them into the bank account. But yeah, I mean, that was the independent film channel. That thing was a cash cow, man.
I mean, yeah, but for a guy like
that's for goddamn sure.
For a
And
guy
I told
in
you
your
start.
well, I was just going to say for a guy in Rob's position, no, he's
what? And
then I would record those at Buzzy's, and I went down to Buzzy's that one day, and there was someone else in there recording, and they had fired me, but they'd forgotten to tell, and they'd like double booked. And I went down, they're like, "Oh yeah, we replaced." They were trying to replace me for like 3 years, and they just couldn't do it. But it was a good 3-year gig.
Why would they
Why would
replace
they
the
fire
person
you?
that's never cashing your checks? I mean, they're just basically paying you. They're not even paying.
Working for free.
This guy's working for free. He doesn't even know it.
I cash.
By the way,
the
if you give him
checks.
Yoo-hoo, he's happy if you just give him a Yoo-hoo and a bag of Funyuns.
Well, the whole thing with that was that I was like, I bought a house. I put a down payment on a house that I couldn't afford with the money that I had saved up from the Luis Guzman show and the IFC money. And I was like, okay, I think I can swing this. And the day that I like bought that house was the day I got fired from that IFC job. But like the next week we sold Sunny. So it all worked out. I thought I was going to have to like rent the whole place out.
Your life
Worked out. What can I say?
Step in shit left
What?
and right. Everywhere
Step
you
in
go,
shit.
people just want to hire you. No, you don't step in shit.
Step in
But you're
shit.
just that
I did a
shows
lot
you
of
how.
struggling first. Not
Yes,
a lot.
you did.
not a lot, not a whole lot. Yeah.
Look at
Why
here.
didn't you just hire Rob to forge your signature on the checks and walk them to the bank for you and give him just like a cut of
like
those
5%
checks?
or
That would have been
I
a
would've
good
done
job
that
for
I would have
him.
done that for 2%. You could have gotten it for 2%.
Let's make one thing clear. There was no issue here. I just was saving them up, and then I would go once a month with all my checks. This was a sensible practice.
100%. No, but for a very broke man, as Rob was at the
Well,
time,
yeah,
it was like he would
How's
have been
that my
living
bro-
paycheck to paycheck. Literally. Wait, what?
I said, how's him being broke my fault? You know? So,
By the way, speaking of cuts, I have to say I love Charlie that moment when you see Cricket on the street and you're talking to him and then you say he can stay at Dee's place and then you reach into his little cup and take a few coins out and
Well, I
say,
gotta take a cut.
I gotta take a cut.
Well, we're gonna get it now.
well, we're gonna get it.
Guys. It's not cheap to produce these things, you know.
Yeah, I mean, look at the lighting kits we have to afford.
Yeah, and then I like to let the sun wash me out, but then that's not reliable because I don't know whether the sun's going to be shining, so it's tricky.
Yeah. And we can talk about how you guys are constantly struggling to find good lighting and how I've never had a single issue later. But first, I'd like to shout out to our friends at Vuori who are helping us pay for those light kits.
If you aren't familiar with Vuori, you should be because they make the most comfortable workout/lounging apparel on the planet. It's a new perspective on performance apparel.
Are you guys sick and tired of traditional workout gear?
Oh yeah,
It's
absolutely.
pissing me off. It's pissing me
Traditions.
off. Yeah.
Okay, well, look, the first thing is to realize that you're not alone.
Oh, good. I thought I was the only one on the planet who was concerned about it.
No. Actually, many more people than you would think are sick and tired of their traditional workout gear. But Vuori has the shorts, the leggings, and joggers for us. I mean, everything is designed to work out in, but it doesn't look or feel like it.
Now, these shorts are so comfortable. You will want to wear them all the time, whether you're sweating or not. And they look great too, which of course is 90% of the appeal of wearing anything because we're all vain.
Yeah, but they are made to work out in so that you can look great when you're not wearing anything too, which is 90% of the appeal of exercising, right?
So altogether, we're talking like 180% appealing. That's pretty good.
That's a lot of appeal. And Vuori is offsetting 100% of its carbon footprint.
Yeah. That's another great percentage, 100. Do you really need any more reason here? I mean, Vuori is an investment in your happiness. For our listeners, they are offering 20% off your first purchase. So get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at vuori.com/sunnypod. That's VUORI.com/sunnypod. Sunny Pod.
And not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to vuori.com/sunnypod and discover the versatility of Vuori clothing. You know what, Rob, I had a funny thing. I decided, I don't know why, I listened to a screenwriting lecture by Paul Schrader. And then I got flooded with memories of that time where I had a pile of checks and on a keyboard and we were making a home movie that turned into Change Our Lives. But I remember that you had been working with Paul Schrader on script or something, or like, was he guiding you on how to write a movie?
It was the first script that I wrote, and I wound up optioning it to a company called Propaganda Films, and then they optioned it for no joke. I think it was $1,000, which was so much money. But after taxes and commission, I couldn't stop, working at the restaurant. And then Paul Schrader signed on to direct it. So he and I were working together on a draft of this movie that I wrote that he was going to make. And then the company went bankrupt. It was called Those Invited In.
Oh, right.
Those Invited In.
That is a good title. Go, keep going. Just keep telling us a good story.
It was not funny. It was a drama, like super dark drama, the kind of movie that Paul Schrader would make for the audience. Paul Schrader wrote Taxi Driver and Raging Bull and directed some really amazing movies, but he's quite a character. And the whole thing fell apart. And that was a huge impetus for me to never want to go through that process again, where in the end, I had a draft that I didn't really love because Paul wanted to take it in directions that I wasn't into, but I was just listening to him. And I thought, well, if he wants to go in this direction, then I should write that. And then at the end of the year, the movie fell apart. He went on to direct a movie called Autofocus and then something else.
Good movie.
I had $1,000 that I had made from it for a year. And I thought I'd never want to do that again, ever. So when I wrote the original Sunny and brought it to you guys, the thought was always to make it ourselves so that we didn't have to do that again.
I mean, I was in a similar place from, doing testing constantly for TV shows, never getting the part, and finally getting the Louis Guzman show. And then, seeing that kind of go over a cliff and feeling like I could do so much more, give me an opportunity to do more. And then just kind of being like, I don't want to, I still kind of feel this way where, I hope the phone rings, and sometimes it rings with something interesting, but most of what I read, I'm like, I don't know. Let's just do our own thing. But every now and then you read something great. There are other brilliant people out there. Just if you can't wait forever for them to call, because most of the time they don't.
Yeah. And there's also no replacing working with your friends, provided your friends are talented. I mean, there's just nothing better than that. I mean, that was the thing that excited me from the very beginning about all this was stop it, Rob. I see you. Yes, I'm burping. God damn it.
I mean, you held back 2 burps and then you just finally one release. Why don't you just burp right now?
Get your burps out.
No. But it's only when I start It's only when I start talking. That's when then I start.
Oh, it's the jinx. Have you murdered someone?
The burping.
The burping.
No. I have never. No, I have not murdered someone.
You can't murder Canadians. It's too easy.
For the listeners out there, Glenn's going through a crisis of conscience right now because I don't know. Let's listen.
He's doing a bit, but he hasn't fully committed to it. Like I can tell that you kind of are like, oh, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this psycho bit? Right. You know what I mean? I see it. I see what's going on.
Right.
You're like kind of like, oh, do I do I've murdered people bit, or then your mind was like, I'm kind of tired of it, and maybe it's inappropriate.
100%. That is so accurate.
It's completely accurate. It's completely accurate. That was exactly the thought process.
Meg, we'd have to rewind it for the creeps, and even if the listeners should go back and watch this on the creep channels, because you can see exactly what Charlie just explained in
he walked you through my
He was
thought
going
process.
for it, but then didn't, but then stopped.
No. No, I have never. No, I have not murdered someone.
You bailed on the bit, which is totally within your rights.
What were we just talking about, though? We were talking about.
Well, making stuff with your friends and your family.
Making stuff.
Oh,
with
that's
your
what it was.
pals.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was what excited me the most from the very beginning was just the thought of like getting to make something. I'd never made anything. I'd only ever, been a pawn in somebody else's game. Whether it be Tennessee Williams or Bill Shakespeare, or any one of those playwrights, David Rabe. Old Dave Mamet, what have you. And I just thought, well, you know what it also was? It was coming off of that 80s show and not being fully satisfied. And part of that was my fault because I was too deferential. I think it was deferential to a fault. I felt like, I don't really know what I'm doing and everybody here knows what they're doing. I had comedic instincts. I had instincts about the scripts. I had instincts about how I felt like it should be executed. But I thought to myself, what the hell do I know? I don't know shit. These guys have been making that 70s show. They've been making all these, great things for years. So they clearly understand, how to do it. And,
also, you're a young guy. You're coming into a network show, which is a big machine, right? Like us, our show was not a big machine. It was lean and mean and just us figuring it out as we went along. Like, there's that feeling of like, whoa, man, they're putting some money in this, and who am I to say how to do it, when you're starting out there. Also, no one's going to fucking listen to you because you're just the actor,
Yeah, I mean, I just, I have a very specific memory, and this was a real turning point for me when we were rehearsing for an episode of, and for those folks out there that don't know how, so with a multicam, which a multicam is generally, I think, defined by there's multiple cameras shooting at the same time, usually in front of a live studio audience, or it's at least portrayed to be that way. And that 80s show was a Fox live or a live multicam show. So you'd rehearse for a week and then you'd do the show live. Anyway, we were in rehearsals and we were rehearsing a scene that I thought was really, really funny. I thought it was really well written and I was enjoying it. And, but I was coming from theater, so I wasn't, my process, I was a little slower to make strong choices, right? I was like, we've got a week to rehearse this. So let's rev up into it. I'll figure it out as we go. And then I'll be ready, when it's game time. But we were doing this scene and it just wasn't fully working, but I knew there was a way to make it work. But the director just kind of jumped to this. He was like, this scene's, it's just not working. It's not working. We should just cut it or rewrite it or whatever. And I was like, well, and I finally did speak up. I was like, well, hold on a second. I actually do think I think it's funny. I think we just need to rehearse it, which is what we're here to do, to try to figure out how to make it as funny as possible, And he was like, no, it's just not working. And, and I remember in my mind thinking, this fucking guy doesn't get what's funny. He doesn't know what's funny. He doesn't get, he thinks it's not funny because he doesn't get it, but that doesn't mean it's not funny. And I was like, can you just, I was like, hold on, can we just, I have an idea. Can I just try something? And I distinctly remember the director sitting like this. And, and I could see his thought process. His thought process was, this is a waste of my time. Why is this fucking kid trying to tell me how to do my job? But he's the lead of the show, so I have to just let him do what he wants. So he was like, yeah, okay, action. And then just looking at his watch, which of course sapped all my confidence. And so, whatever it was that I was planning to do, I just completely blew it because I had no confidence. And then from that point forward, it was really a little like something's not sitting well with me here, that this doesn't feel right. So, it was moments like that made me realize I had strong opinions about how things should be executed. And so when we started making this, it was an opportunity to test that.
I think that machinery is what goes so wrong in so many TV shows, certainly of that era too, where it's the way it's done is locked down and the power dynamics are so locked in. And, there's I've been around, those sort of multicams too, where the writers are one camp and they're like, we're the writers and these actors don't get it and the studio doesn't get it. And it's just like, if everyone's not working together to make this thing as best as it can, it just sort of falls apart.
Yeah, totally. If an actor comes in to our show and says funnier shit than we've put in the script, great.
Yeah, the best ideas got to win. Like this.
But there's still a curative process. There has to be, but there's a curator there, right? Who's deeming whether something's funny or. I'm sure there have been actors on our show over the years who've come in and truly thought that what they were saying is funnier than what we wrote. That's happened before. Even we've done versions of that before, where we've written something and then maybe I've said the line differently, and I thought, oh, that's making this particular moment better. And then Charlie's like, no, it's not. And then I ask you, and you say, no, it's better on the page. And then you go, oh, okay. I trust the curation process. But there's got to be, because otherwise it's just everybody's sort of comedic
it can't
point
be a
of
free
view.
for all.
It can't be a free for all.
Yeah.
And there are those other dynamics that go on too, which is somebody is protecting their position. And if I'm the writer and that's what I do and that's what I bring to the party, and you're changing that, then that is something to me that's potentially damaging.
What'd you guys do? One season of that?
We did, yeah. I think we did 13 episodes of it. I had a great time. I really enjoyed it. It was extremely formative. I needed to do that before I could have ever done It's Always Sunny. I needed to get that out of my system, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you had we may have discussed this in the podcast, but maybe not. But Glenn, you had a pilot offer. You had a pilot offer. So we had made Sunny, and we weren't sure if we were going to, we wanted to go make it, but you had this real world offer in front of you, and you were trying to figure out whether or not you were going to take it or test for this show.
I do remember there was this one sitcom that I had tested for or gone in for that they really liked me for. And, this is back in the day when I think you guys know that I used to do this, but before auditions, like if it was something where I wasn't, like, auditioning's hard and you're a little self-conscious and I mean, this is it's a dangerous habit to get into, but it worked for me, especially with comedy in particular. I was like, I need to be able to go in there and be loose and free. So what I would often do is I would show up with my, thermos of coffee and maybe have like one shot of whiskey mixed in there, But then I realized I'm like, well, now I got to drink the whole coffee to get the shot. So that doesn't make any sense. So then I started so I'd bring like one of those like little airplane bottles, you know what I mean? And I'd be like, just one little thing, kind of like the priest does before he gets up and gives his sermon. You guys didn't have priests like that? And it worked. It worked. It would be like, you'd get a little loosey-goosey, you know what I mean? And I remember for this one that I did, this has happened actually a couple times, I'm not going to lie, where like I didn't have the airplane, so I like just kind of poured it into a container and then brought it to the audition. And then I would, just, right before the thing. And then there were, a couple of occasions where it was like, oh, and I'd be like, oh, that was not one shot. That was like 2 or 3. And, and I remember one of those things that I was up for at that time, they called me in and I'd just been sitting there kind of looking at my lines. And when I stood up to go into the audition, I was like, oh, okie dokie, shit. And then I nailed it. I absolutely fucking nailed it. And they wanted me to do the show, but I said, no, I've got my own. Just like that. But now luckily I'm comfortable with myself and I don't feel the need to do that anymore in auditions. So the end.
Have you been drinking today?
No, I haven't. No, I'll probably start at like 3:30, 4.
Great. Wow.
It's my day off. You know what I mean? I'm going to get it on.
Okay.
Yeah. Not worried about puffing up for the picture?
Oh, all the better.
Puff?
All the better.
You want to be a puffy guy.
You're counting on it. You're counting on the puff.
I'm playing a guy who's a little bit of a miserable fuck in some ways. So
he'd have some puff for sure.
Well, it's great because I show up to set every day cranky, and I'm like, well, that's great because this guy's cranky too. So here we are.
Lean into the crank.
Just lean into the crankiness just a little bit more than I already feel, and the anger, all it's all there. It's all there. Anyways, did you guys never do the whole like have a little shoddy poo before going into an
I
audition?
did, yeah. I remember auditioning to get into the Williamstown Theater Festival, and I took the bus into New York City. I was still in college and was like so nervous before the audition, just so nervous, you know.
Yeah.
And just be like, I just went across the street, just had like a beer. Maybe I'll probably only had one, and just take the edge off.
Yeah, exactly. It helps
For sure.
It
that's
helps. I mean,
why. That's why I didn't get any of those jobs. That's why. It's not because I wasn't
Yeah,
a
you're
good
too
actor. It was
sober.
because I was too sober. That was the problem.
Square, man.
I should have been drinking. If I
Did
was
you learn
drinking,
anything from Paul Schrader? You should have been like, so you got to get all fucked up and write your things.
yeah, haven't you learned anything?
he
from
kept
the
a
greats
gun
like
on
Sean
his
Penn?
desk. Paul Schrader kept a gun,
awesome.
a
That's
fucking
great.
gun. He had an
In
office.
case what? Like he gets mad at his
New York
computer
Times.
and he wants to shoot it? Like what the fuck does he have to go?
I
why?
didn't ask. I didn't ask. I just noticed it. I clocked it. I recognized that it was in the room, and I let
I
it
think
go.
it was like a souvenir from like Taxi Driver. Was it like one of like Travis Bickle's guns?
Could have been. It wasn't displayed in any way. It was just sort
Sat
of
there.
It was in resting mode.
Just sort of an implied gentle threat to whoever comes into the room. You know what I mean? To
Sure.
like it's sort of a power dynamic
Yeah,
thing, right?
although
like,
I found him to be lovely. I mean, he was strange.
sure
but
he could
wasn't-
be. He had a gun on his desk.
He was very kind and courteous, and he was but it was ultimately not a great experience, but not because of our interactions in any way. And the gun never came into play. Maybe it was like a Chekhov thing. Isn't that like a Chekhov thing? I don't know. You theater nerds. Isn't
Well,
that the whole
but that's the Chekhov thing is if you're going to show a gun, then it's got to pay
it
off.
better go off.
Gotta go.
Got it.
It needs to go off at some point. Otherwise, what was the fucking point? So that
Otherwise,
was
why did we
Chekhov.
see that gun? That's no.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Fun use.
we saw a lot of guns in this episode, and none of them went off. Not to bring it back to the episode, but that was enough
Do we
with
not
the
shoot them
O's.
up into the ceiling? No.
But it is very funny that you all end up with guns at the end. At least Charlie and Dee, I think, end up with guns, and Frank's always got one. And
Yeah. No, it's great that it's kind of like, oh, that was close. That was a close call.
Yeah. And then we ran that horse down.
yeah,
Broad Street.
Yeah, what was that?
Talk about
What was
that.
it? What street?
Broad Street.
What street was it? Broad Street, right.
It's either Broad
Yeah.
Street. It might have been Market, actually. It may have been Market Street.
I think it was-
I think it
It's
was
a
Market.
major-
I think it was Market.
Yeah.
It was
I think
Market.
It's a
I seem
major
to remember
street.
it was Market Street.
Did you get
was
to
Market
lock
Street.
off the street for that? Did you get to shut down the street?
Yeah, it was like the
Yeah.
biggest thing we'd done at the time, which was like we shut down a big sort of street and we ran a horse down it, and
What a waste of money. God. It's funny, though.
Well, we barely
Good
used
job,
it in the
man. We
episode.
got
It's a-
cricket in
yeah.
it, you know. Yeah, it's a tag. It's a tag, which we don't really do
Exactly.
tags.
Was it? It wasn't meant to be. Like we wouldn't have put aside all that money and time and effort to just shoot a tag. That must have been something that we decided in post, right? Like, just well, I mean, how
No.
else would it have played? I think we knew it was going to be a tag, didn't we?
Yeah.
Good for us. Good for us.
Yeah. Guys, guess what?
Yeah.
We're going to do a second advertisement, you know, because everyone loves them so much. So we're going to do another.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentle creeps, we are supported by Athletic Greens.
Yep, the makers of AG1 green powder, a product y'all know I use literally every single day. I started taking AG1 because I didn't want to waste time rounding up dozens and dozens of vitamins on the daily, okay? I wanted it all in one simple silver bullet of a supplement.
Correct. And with one delicious scoop of AG1, you're getting 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens.
It's lifestyle and diet friendly, whether you eat animals, plants, or rocks. It's certified keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, and gluten-free.
It's also GMO-free, doesn't have any nasty chemicals or 7-syllable compounds from a lab. And there's less than 1 gram of sugar. There's legitimately more sugar in a lemon than in a serving of AG1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can I tell you guys something? I like AG1 so much that I brought it all the way to Canada.
That's
This is
dedication,
just, I've already
Glenn.
had. Yeah, I've already had mine today. By the way, that's why it's empty. But yeah, I got it. I brought it all the way to Canada. This guy, keep me fueled.
How are those adaptogens doing you?
Good. I've adapted for the most part to being here. And so is that
So you're a
what they
member
mean
of
by
the
that?
bottle carrying club there. Are you more of a fan of the powder or the bottle?
Yeah, no. The powder itself is an absolute A plus, but the bottle's not too shabby either. I mean, you can creep on the size here. Look at this. It's actually perfectly proportioned to the amount of AG1 that you need each day, and it's smaller than most shake bottles, so you can easily stow it or fly with it between countries.
So that sounds like the ultimate travel companion. Is that what we're saying here?
Well, I'll tell you what, it does work to support better sleep quality and recovery, which honestly is a paramount when you're out of town or changing time zones.
We can't say Paramount, Glenn, because our show's on Disney. So
Okay.
To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/sunny.
Again, that is athleticgreens.com/sunny to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Peter Nincompoop. How'd you come up
Peter
with that
Nincompoop.
name?
Peter Nincompoop.
What a funny
I
word
remember
nincompoop
that.
is.
Yeah.
When I moved to Los Angeles, I moved into an apartment in the Valley, and when we moved in, there was a refrigerator there, and the previous tenants had left. They didn't take all of their possessions with them, and the landlord didn't even bother to take it out. And on the refrigerator, there was a drawing of a horse by a child with a magnet on it, and it was, and all it said was Synchro Scaly Face was the name of the horse. And I remember thinking, that is bizarre. What's the story behind this? It's a child who came up with the name and then spelled out Synchro Scaly Face. And I remember being in the writer's room and pitching that as the name of the horse, and everybody was very confused, but then recognized that coming up with a funny name for it would work, and somebody threw out Peter, and then we added Nincompoop, and that was it.
It's better than Synchro Scaly Face for sure.
Absolutely.
Why is the face scaly? Are you sure it wasn't a
Exactly.
picture of a dragon? Was it?
Why did the horse have scales? I don't know. Maybe
Was it
maybe
David?
it
Was
an
it
alligator.
David?
It
Was this
sick,
David?
I'm sure.
David Cronenberg's kid? You know what I mean? Was it David Cronenberg living in that apartment for a short period of time in LA? And it just seems like something he would come up with. I don't know. Nincompoop. I tried to look up the origins of that word last night because I was like, where the hell did that word come from? It's unclear. Unclear. A couple of explanations as to where the nincom part comes from, but where the poop comes in, I have no idea. And so I think it's just absolute gibberish. But it's lovely.
It's good gibberish.
It's good gibberish. Yeah,
We
cocaine.
should do I was thinking of episode ideas. Maybe we could discuss them now, and the creeps, the listeners could weigh in on which ones they might want to see.
Well, you got some
Definitely.
ideas?
I mean, if we were going to do,
pitch?
I was going to pitch a couple of ideas to you. What do you think?
Yeah,
You don't even want to hear
Go.
the idea. Oh,
I sure do. What do you got?
Sure. So, well, we've been talking about having Mr. David Hornsby on the show, and maybe finding the best episode. But I know the Cricket's Tale isn't for so long, and David's been a
These are
huge part
pitches
of.
for podcast episodes. I thought you were
Yes.
doing Sunny. Oh, I thought
No,
you were
no,
doing
podcast
I
episodes.
thought you were talking about Sunny episodes too.
Okay.
Me
I'm
too.
sorry. I'm
Podcast
sorry.
episodes.
okay.
My
All right,
mind's all about the podcast right now.
That's great.
So if we did a David Hornsby episode, it might be fun to cut together a Cricket's greatest hits.
That's
and
what
we
we're
could
doing.
watch. Oh, you're already doing that. Oh, so
Yes.
Megan's already.
Well,
ahead.
as soon as I get access to 15 seasons of high def versions of the episodes, which
Great.
I'm working on now. But yeah, we're
Great.
trying
And
to do that.
maybe we could do a watch party with David and talk about each. Okay, we're in sync. I was thinking it might be fun. I launched, as you guys are aware, I launched a tech entertainment company today, and I tweeted it out, and it's just getting a lot of expected hate, and it's really kind of fun, and it made me think, man, we've gotten hate over the years. We've got our trolls, wouldn't it be fun to maybe, I don't know if like just reading the tweets is that fun, but taking calls of criticism, the idea of opening up the lines and letting people
That's
call
great.
in.
I love it. I love that.
Call in and tell us directly, like what are we doing
Really let
wrong?
us have it. Yeah.
Yeah, really let us have it. And they have to,
Besides hiring women.
Oh, hiring women. I want to hear about somebody getting very upset about hiring women.
We got badgered into it.
They don't like it. They don't like
They
it.
We got
don't.
badgered
So
into it.
you're saying have a platform for people to air their grievances.
Yes, but directly to us, at us, and for us.
We can do that.
And for me personally, I have no boundaries. If they want to get as personal as possible, they can. I feel comfortable engaging in those conversations.
I think that'd be
Write
fucking
that
amazing.
down.
Yeah, bring it.
Yeah. What are we doing wrong?
Yeah.
Where do we get? Meg and I had a version of this before that we had talked about actually a whole podcast that revolved around it. But bringing on various creators and having people call in and talk about how they hated their shows, or if they loved their shows, where they went off the rails. I think that's what I'd be most interested in. Meg and I made a pilot of this. We called it "Thanks for Engaging," and it was with Damon Lindelof, and it was fucking amazing. It was amazing. She and Mara tracked down, this was like a year ago, tracked down people who just absolutely hated, like loved Lost, but hated the ending, or just hated Watchmen, and they just hammered him. And they did the same for us, for me, for Sunny, but it didn't have the same sting.
Yeah.
And it
I
ultimately just wound
love
up being
the way any show ends. Like when a show ends, it's naturally unsatisfying, right? Because
You're mad.
You're mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like The Sopranos, people hated that ending.
And Seinfeld, people hated
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I think people like the ending of The Shield. I think people enjoyed that, the way that
was a
one
great
wrapped
ending.
up.
I mean, but Breaking Bad is a great example of a show that ended really well. But still, you're left with almost nothing to talk about. And in a way, The Sopranos, for as unsatisfying as it is, continues to live on because you can talk about what your idea of what happened in the end is. That's just an interesting.
like that
I
ending.
think also
But I
like
think it pisses
some
people off.
shows are really built and designed to have a beginning, middle, and end, right? Like versus like an episodic show like ours, it's a different thing than like a movie where it really has like 3 acts, right? Like it's
Breaking
we're just
Bad, you're
chucking out
seeing-
a different episode every week.
Totally. Like you don't see in The Sopranos, the first episode isn't him becoming Tony Soprano. He just is Tony Soprano who's going about his day. Whereas Breaking Bad, you watch as he becomes Walter White goes from a teacher to Scarface basically, and that's what you're watching. So there is a natural endpoint.
And what they do 5 seasons of that?
Something like that, 5 or 6.
6.
6. Huh?
Breaking Bad, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's like a mystery show, then you solve the mystery and then you're done. But yeah, like Sunny is especially going to be hard for you guys to end because there's not even that much that rolls from episode to episode. So it's not really building to anything like in a way that like even Breaking Bad, that's a Mythic Quest episode.
Somebody's definitely going to make a show called Breaking Brad, and it's going to
Glenn,
suck.
we've already
We
done
made an episode of Mythic
we have a show called
Mr. Quest.
episode.
Mr. Quest.
There's an episode
Mr.
called
Quest.
Breaking Brad. It didn't suck, but I'll
let's
send
not
it to you.
talk
I'll
about
let
that
you.
show.
I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link.
No, it's all right.
But the criticism call-in episode, we should definitely do that. We can have that happen. People call in, yell at you guys about stuff.
Yeah, and it could be about anything. It should be about Sunny because that's what the podcast is. But I don't know. Come at us. It could be fun.
Let's do it. Gloves
What
off,
if,
baby.
like, when you do that, if people sort of like quickly drum up a sort of fake thing versus like getting someone who really has something to say to be like, I really loved when you did this and you stopped doing this and why did you do it versus someone who's like, okay, I got to think of something to criticize and then just like coming up with a.
Well, so we
like,
just
how do
hang
you-
up on those people immediately. Just hang up on them immediately.
There was a curation process that went into it that worked pretty well. That Meg and Mara found really great people. They were able to, to allow for that to not happen.
My favorite was that I found some tweets that people had tweeted about like Sunny. And one of my favorite one was, is the dick really worth the 3 hours of Always Sunny he makes you watch afterwards?
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Which was pretty good.
She was really not into the show at all, but she was into the dick. But there was the guy that we talked to was from, he was Irish.
Ireland.
And he was calling from Ireland. He was a massive
pitched
Sunny
an
fan.
end.
Yeah,
Did
but
you
he was
remember that?
he was begging us to stop. Begging us to stop. He said we ruined the show a long time ago. Stop making it. We've peaked. We've not only have we begun to peak, we peaked. It's over. Please stop. Just please stop. Yeah. And it was
But that's
really
such a funny thing. It's like, well, you have total control over that. Go ahead and don't watch. The show can end right now for you.
Anytime.
Like just stop watching.
He believes that we're ruining the legacy of the show by continuing to exist, which I thought was a great point of view. He had great points. He wasn't wrong from his point of view.
He pitched an end that wasn't terrible. Like,
that is
remember
true.
that? He pitched an end. We were like, okay,
Do you remember
well.
what it was?
Yeah, don't say it though, Meg, because we might use it. But we're never going to end this show.
Yeah.
Not officially.